Hey everyone, Christopher Perez. I'm directing the Office of Graduate Diversity Inclusion here in the Graduate School at University of Maryland, College Park. It is another edition of Ogdi Answers Your Questions. The applications have opened. Folks are uploading their materials, and I'm getting a lot of questions about the differences between a resume and a CV. So these are two different kinds of documents. But on an admissions side, if you don't have a CV, they want you to upload what you do have. Okay, so I'm just going to very briefly explain the difference between these two. So a resume really is a one-page document that outlines your work history, your service, and you really use that when you're applying to a job. It's going to be something that is not necessarily academic driven, but you are going to want to obviously include your education on there, especially if the job asks for a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. You're going to want to put that on your resume, okay? But it's really just a one-page document that does a very quick overview of your work experience and your service and any kind of skills that are relevant to that position, that job. Now, a CV, which stands for a curriculum vitae or curriculum vitae, that is very academic driven, okay? And so again, admissions committees, if you don't have a CV, they put that on there so that you know to upload something. Now, I recommend that you try to develop a CV because that is what admissions committees, academics are going to, it's going to resonate with them more. And a CV can be more than one page. And so here is my recommendation is if you don't have a CV, try building out a CV. It can be more than one page, and begin with your education. So, and then also make sure that what you're putting in there is listed in reverse chronological order. So if you earned a bachelor's degree and a master's and you're applying to a doctoral program, you'll want to put it in reverse chronological order. You can be very detailed in a CV. So for example, if you did an undergraduate thesis, put the title of your undergraduate thesis under your degree. If you did a master's thesis, which you probably did if you're or in a master's program, put the title of your master's thesis. So again, a CV is very academic, whereas a resume is just a one-page highlight of your work and professional experience. So back to the CV. After the education, that's where you put things like research interests, okay? Or if you've presented at a conference, so conference presentations. If you've published, you'll want to include that. If you have any kind of teaching experience, even if you were a peer mentor, put that under teaching. You'll want to include things that you put on your resume only if it's relevant to your study, your areas of study. So for example, if you're applying to public policy, a graduate program in public policy, it's really important. If you did an internship in DC that worked with, some kind of higher ed official or any kind of nonprofit, and you want to continue that work, it's really important to include that in your CV under service and community engagement, okay? So those are the distinctions between a resume and a CV. And then the other question that I always get is, should I include my references on my resume and CV? A lot of people will put references available upon request. I say with a CV, you will want to include references on your CV. And the reason for that is that when you don't, and this isn't the case for everything, but when you don't include your references, it might appear that you either don't have any or that you are afraid of listing anybody that might say something negative about you. So only list people that are going to say favorable things about you. Now, if you have 3 recommenders, I would list those recommenders on your CV. Now, your resume, that's a little different because you only have 1 page. And if you do submit a resume, the expectation is that it is going to be 1 page. So again, your CV can be more than 1 page. It should be academic driven. It should really highlight in detail all of your academic focused work. So your education, conference presentations, teaching, publications, awards and service, awards and honors, service and engagement, your references, and then include, before references, include your professional experience. So I don't know if you were a barista at a Starbucks, Starbucks plug there. I don't know if that's going to be relevant on a CV, but if you're applying to a job, it might be relevant for a job. So just know those differences. The other thing that I see again and again and again is people want to decorate their resume or their CV using really fancy design elements. Be mindful that there's some room to do that with a resume, but with a CV, it's pretty straightforward. It's your name and address and your contact information, phone number, email. And then it is a list, a comprehensive list of your academic area, okay? So just be mindful. I've seen resumes and CVs that have photos on them. I've seen resumes and CVs that are full of bright colors. Be mindful about this, like how that's going to be interpreted, okay? If you are going into a doctoral program and your resume is just a bunch of pretty colors with a really nice photo, even if it's a professional photo, that doesn't really represent you as a researcher. It doesn't really represent you as an academician, okay? So just be mindful of that. And that was today's Ogdi Answers Your Questions, the differences between a resume and a CV. If you have questions about what you should include on a CV that I didn't cover in this video, go to your career center. Go to the career center at your institution and ask them, set up an appointment time to work with somebody on developing your CV for your graduate application, okay? Again, thanks for the questions, and keep the questions coming. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get those updates. And that's today's Ogdi Answers Your Questions. All right, folks, take care. Bye.